Thanks, Rabbi Mark. Always lovely to be together. And thank you, Harry, holding us. And thank you, everyone who's here present with us. I'm looking at the gallery view so I can enjoy the many beautiful heads and boxes. So good to see you all. So as Rabbi Mark said, here in Israel, we are already, the sun went down a while ago now, and we are already in Rosh Chodesh. That means the first day of the new month of Kislev, the first day beginning, the first night, which the day that begins at night. And so we're celebrating. It's a special day in the calendar. We have special prayers to say. And especially as Rabbi Mark mentioned, we have Hanukkah this month. And the energy of an important festival like Hanukkah permeates the whole month. So although Hanukkah comes very late in our month, actually when our moon is going away, nonetheless, the mystics tell us we can access its light very strongly already, this new beginning. And so I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes about what that light is, the light of Hanukkah, and then we'll do a practice with it. So the rabbis point out an enigma, a mystery in the Torah's story of creation, and that very famously, the first day of creation, it says that God created light, and there was light. God says, let there be light, and there was light. But there's no sun, there's no moon, there's no stars. And those are actually created on day 4, according to the first chapter of Bereshit, of Genesis. So what's going on? Well, the rabbis say in the ancient Midrash, we have this beautiful ancient teaching that God has a special light. God's special light is a light of unitary consciousness. I call it that because the Midrash, the ancient teaching, says that Adam, and also I would say Chava, Eve, Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, they could see the entire universe, the Midrash says, from one side of the universe to the other side of the universe with this light. So this light, whatever that means, shows the first people the entirety of existence. So that's why I call it the light of unitary consciousness. Also relates to the concept of chokhmah, or wisdom, which is a related concept, seeing everything as essentially one. So the rabbis tell us when we engage with Torah, when we engage with good deeds, when we do acts of kindness, we access this light and we bring this light into the world. But most of the time, they tell us, it's actually fairly hidden. It's not out in plain view most of the time in most of our experience. And they say something very interesting about it. They actually say the light is vulnerable. It's not able to withstand being around people who might abuse it. So it's a light that could be misused. But when we do good things, or we connect to Torah and so on, we can bring it into the world in a safe and positive and healing way. And it's the light of creation, as I mentioned. It's also, our rabbis tell us, the light of redemption. This light of oneness, this light of seeing everything as one, is related to the world that we're working together to create, we hope. Working in that direction where everyone will see that everything is one. So the rabbis say there's a very special connection between our Hanukkah candles, our lights of Hanukkah, and this light. They say that the light was enjoyed by Adam and Eve for 36 hours, and that we light 36 candles on Hanukkah, not including the helper candle, the shamash, but the real candles of Hanukkah, 36. If you add up how many, 1 plus 2, and so on, up to 8. So our Hanukkah candles, our mystics say, really give us an opportunity to bring that light very strongly into the world. And there's a few reasons why this is so powerful. First of all, we celebrate Hanukkah not only when the moon is going away, as I mentioned before, the moon wanes away and then comes back. So it's at the point of the monthly cycle when there's the least moon possible, but also it's on the point of the monthly cycle of the moon when the moon goes away. It's on that point as close as possible to the solstice. In other words, when the sun is also waning, so to speak, when the sun is diminished as much as possible. So we have the least possible moon and the least possible sun. And these days, we're so used to having electrical lighting, we might not fully grasp quite how significant that actually is for humanity, even just if we go back a couple hundred years. It's a big deal to be so enmeshed, so surrounded, so ensconced by that darkness. And those lights gave Jews for thousands of years a very profound experience. How do I know that? How do I know that they experienced what we call the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light of creation and oneness and revelation and redemption. Well, I look at the miracle of Jewish survival as being evidence of the power of our rituals. And I see this as one of the most important and most powerful of our rituals. I think this was one of the most widely practiced of our rituals. And there were some very, very, very long and dark stretches of Jewish experience. Right now, things don't feel super easy for some of us to be Jewish compared to how they were a few years ago, but we're in very good company with our spiritual ancestors over the past couple of thousand years. And so I really think that this ritual of Hanukkah not only brought hope into the world and the light of oneness and light of redemption, I really think it was an essential part of how we came to be us today, still here, of how us and our traditions and our story and our consciousness survived. So let's begin to practice, and I'll give instructions for how we're going to relate to this light and this special beginning of Rosh Chodesh. As we begin our preparation, maybe some of us, we're warming up for Hanukkah. So let's bring our attention inside ourselves, finding a posture that's comfortable. Find that right balance for you in this moment between relaxation and alertness. Whatever we're noticing as we bring our attention inside, maybe there's physical sensations, maybe emotions or thoughts. See if we can be compassionate and welcoming and friendly to whatever we notice is happening. And let's pick an anchor for our practice. That's a safe home base for our attention. Perhaps a place in your body if that works for you. It could also be your breath. Could also be a mantra you say quietly to yourself. Let's settle down by bringing our attention there. Seeing if we can stay with it. Noticing what's happening with our anchor, moment by moment. And of course, our attention is bound to wander. That's part of the practice. The key is that we notice at some point, without judgment, we compassionately bring it back, bring our attention back to our anchor, returning over and over again, strengthening our ability to choose, our inner freedom. So I'm going to give instructions now for the rest of the sit, and then we'll sit together in silence. So the invitation is to keep around half of our attention with our anchor as a nice solid base and keep us in a meditative state, keep us settled. But with the other half of our attention, let's open up to that light I mentioned. That special light, the infinite one, the Ein Sof, wanted to share at the beginning of creation. The light that showed Adam and Eve that everything was one. could see the entire universe from one side to the other, all as one. And this light also being something we're told will return more fully to the world in the future that we yearn for. A future of universal peace and justice. A future where that awareness of oneness helps us all be our best selves, helps us relate to each other in a healthy way, creates the world that we want. And there are many different ways to work with this light, to experience it. You may already be doing so in a way that works for you. So you're more than welcome to do whatever works for you. I'm going to make a suggestion for anyone who's wondering, who's not sure, and that is to embody the light of the Chanukiah or the menorah, the candelabrum that we light on Hanukkah, to let it ourselves feel that we are that candelabrum, that the light is shining out of us. I may want to imagine that I'm a particular menorah, one that I know and love and have lit in my life at some point, or it may be more abstract. It may be one that's special to you in some way. You just keep shining that light out in all directions. If you like, sending it to people you know in specific places, but ultimately sending it to everyone everywhere. Noticing all the time compassionately what's going on. And of course, our anchor, our home base is there for us. We can fully return to it at any point if we want to. Take as much time as we want there. And begin again when we feel ready. Let's sit together now in quiet, grounded in our anchor, and shining out that special light in all directions. Let's gradually bring this round of practice to a close. Take your time, slowly coming back as you feel ready. Feel free to let your body move or breathe, yawn, sigh, or stretch in any way that it wants to. Comfortable. And as we come back, before I hand it back to Rabbi Mark, I just want to mention that the teaching I gave before the sit was a very brief, condensed version of a longer version that's a recorded class. So we'll share the link for the recorded class, and it's about an hour long or so, and it has the original sources that I was referring to, which talk about this light and the work we can do with it. So I hope you'll enjoy that. Happy Hanukkah when it comes. Rabbi Mark, all yours.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Daniel. It's a beautiful practice. We're looking forward in a few minutes to exploring some of the themes of our practice today and the teaching that underlies it. And for now, as we do each day, we seal the practice and we offer an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning, or if you're observing a yard site, and I saw there was a question that came up, since there are only 29 days in the month of Cheshvan this month, there's at least one person who has a yard site on the 30th of Cheshvan. There's no 30th of Cheshvan this year. And as I understand it, that gives you the option to observe today, on the 29th of Cheshvan, or tomorrow, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, or both. So if you're in that category, but anyone for whom it's the custom as well to join in the Mourner's Kaddish is welcome to do so. And for those of us who are not reciting Kaddish, it's an opportunity to be the light, the hidden light, make manifest for those who are in mourning by being present and lending them our compassionate support. Thanks to Harry for sharing the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on the screen. And if you're reciting it, please join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this moment, and we'll fight together. Yifgadal, Rama Divrach Chilute V'Yamlich Malchute Chayechon U'Yomechon Hayeh B'Chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala B'Bizman Kaviv Amen. Hey Shmei Rabba Ramei Amaya Rach V'Yishtalach
Be'ar v'yamam v'yaseh
Adar V'Taleh V'Yitalash Sheila Birchata V'Shemata B'Chata V'Nechemata Hey Shlama Rabba Aleinu Shavaya V'Chaim Aleinu Shalom V'Yasa Shalom
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, and also thank you for the reminder in the chat that this is Transgender Day of Remembrance, and so we are including the victims of violence, transgender people who have been the victim of violence and lost their lives as a result of their identity today as well. And want to extend our prayers for comfort and support for those of you who are in mourning, and may those we are remembering today, may their memories be for a blessing in your lives and in this world. Friends, want to invite you to stay on if you can for a conversation with our teacher today, Rabbi Daniel Raphael Silverstein, and also thank Harry Goboa for holding our text space today. And if you're leaving us now, we hope you'll join us tomorrow for our sit for Rosh Chodesh Kislev tomorrow, led by Sarah Waxman of At the Well, also to sit into Shabbat together. And if you have a question you'd like to ask Rabbi Daniel, please, as always, just put that in the chat. And if it's a question rather than a comment or reflection on your experience today, you can just preface it by writing question, all in capital letters, and I'll keep an eye out for your questions. Thanks so much, Daniel, and thanks, Harry, for putting the link again to the recorded class by Rabbi Daniel, and also the link to Applied Jewish Spirituality, which our sibling organization, which some, of course, wonderful offerings, including one on the Jewish calendar that this is part of. The Or News is the hidden light, I think, is such a powerful aspect of Jewish spirituality that many people don't know about. So I really appreciate you lifting it up, Daniel, today. I know it was just like on 1 foot version of this longer teaching. Maybe we can unpack it a little bit more in the minutes we have here. But the part I want to focus on is the Ganuz part, the hidden part. One of the things that changed Hanukkah for me a bit once I learned that is the sense that we're not actually kindling the lights of the Chanukiah when we light it, so to speak, but we're actually revealing pre-existent light. That the light is already there. It's just that we haven't perceived it, which makes it a great of course, it's a great mindfulness teaching and a great mindfulness practice. And I hope people can bear this in mind. And I want to invite you to elaborate on this too. In terms of the actual practice, looking ahead to Hanukkah, like when we light the shamash and start lighting the candles or the oil, whatever your Hanukkah consists of, it's a reminder that there is a presence that's always there beneath the surface or beyond our ken that we can tap into. And this, what we call mindfulness practice, is really the spiritual practice of growing an awareness of that in some way. So I assume that's, big part of your the longer teaching. So I invite you to elaborate a little bit on this Or News and where we got this idea and how you understand it.
Thanks, Rabbi Mark. Yeah, actually, you touched on one of my favorite ideas that is talked about a lot by Rav Kook, the great mystic of the 20th century here in the land of Israel. And he talks about it in a few different contexts. In the context of teshuvah, of returning to our best selves, returning to our divine root. And he also talks about it in the context of a redeemed world, the world that we want to be working towards, the world of universal peace and justice. He says about both of those things, connected to the light you mentioned, that our best self and the best possible world are already there. It's just a question of us revealing them. And I love it so much, but in both cases, because it's so empowering, because we sometimes feel like we're pushing a boulder up the hill, to borrow an image. And when am I going to change? When am I going to be a different person? When is the world going to be different, etc.? It can feel hopeless sometimes, or we can feel very, very stuck. And there's something very liberating and empowering for me with this idea. Exactly like you say, the key is not actually a doing, it's more, as you said, a refining of our awareness. And it sounds, to anyone who hasn't experienced a shift in awareness, I mean, everyone who's with us today and is practicing, presumably is practicing because they've learned the value of the practice. So, everyone here probably has experienced it in their own way. But to someone who hasn't experienced it, it can sound a little hokey or like someone's trying to sell you something. But it's really true that reality might not change to be what we thought we wanted it to be. But when we refine our awareness, that itself creates a very powerful transformation that ultimately changes what is on a deeper level. And that's our practice. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think it's really, another image is just sort of like continually peeling away the layers. Sometimes people talk about peeling the onion, peeling layers away and revealing what's actually at the heart. So that maybe connects with Betsy's question about how the menorah reflects the overarching unity through its candles or branches. That you mentioned, and maybe people didn't realize this, that that we, over the course of Hanukkah, that we light 36, which is double chai, obviously. And I always love the association there with, since the number 36 written in Hebrew letters is Lamed Vav, it's a connection to the legend or the tradition of the Lamed Vav Nikim, of 36 righteous people who exist at all times and whose righteousness sustains the world. But we don't know who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're anonymous, just they're hidden, just like the light is hidden, meaning that could be any one of us. We have to act as if we might be number 36, because otherwise the world might fall apart. So I love that. So what do you think about Betsy's question about the overarching unity of the Hanukkah menorah?
I need to rearrange my screen so I can see these
Okay.
questions. But if right, I see it and you said it. And okay, so it's interesting. The original menorah that was in the Holy Temple, and before that in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, that had three branches on each side and one in the middle, so seven in total. So
Right.
that one I can talk all day about the overarching unity because our mystics do. They say this relates to the 7 days of the week, with the Shabbat in the middle being the most important that shines light on the others. And it relates to the seven lower Sefirot, the qualities of the tree of life, the qualities of the divine, and our own personalities, which form more or less our complete selves, and which our Kabbalists say make up our spiritual work in this world. 8, as far as I understand it in the mystics, is the number of going beyond. So 7 is really completion, hence, again, 7 days in the week and 7 qualities in the tree of life in this world. But 8, from what I understand, is the extra, the additional, and that I understand as being one of the kind of messages of Hanukkah, is that something happened here that was outside of the usual framework, beyond additional. And this relates to why we have circumcision, the mitzvah of circumcision on the 8th day, is a similar idea. We're taking something natural and changing it to something beyond.
Yeah. Yeah. Only thing I would tack onto that is, in terms of the menorah itself, is that that is a powerful teaching. It just comes from the Torah itself, which says that the menorah was made of a single piece of hammered gold. Right? It was not of different branches that were fused together, which for me is always like a very, very significant in terms of descriptive of Jewish spirituality. That diversity emerges from oneness, as opposed to, the slogan here in the United States, "E pluribus unum," out of many, one. In the Jewish framework is out of one, many, and so it also represents it that way too. You want to say, people are, of course, always eager to hear a rap or song from you, and we will in fact be sharing Rabbi Daniel's song for Hanukkah in a few minutes. But do you want to say anything more about the longer offering, or the offering that's part of Daniel?
Well, actually, I want to say one other thing about what you said before. You said something beautiful about the Lamed Vavnikim, the secret, hidden, righteous people in every generation. There are 36 of them, and that could relate to the 36 candles. And I just thought that could be a whole nother practice. We could practice with bringing that light of those people into the world, either trying to aspire to be one of them ourselves, because as you said, who knows, you might be number 36. The world might need you to step up and take that job. Or maybe it's more like just seeing those souls out there in the world and being grateful for the light that they're spreading. In terms of the class, thank you for the invitation to speak about it. It's pretty fun. It goes from the ancient midrash, the ancient rabbis, through a lot of mystical sources. I hope it's pretty understandable. I gave it a few years ago, and I feel like it's a good summary of a lot of these ideas. If people want, to see where they come from in the sources, there were some great teachings there. Some of my favorites I often come back to. So, yeah, I hope folks will enjoy that.
Well, why don't we? Harry has teed up the song, which is called "The Same Light." Maybe you could say, maybe after maybe before we listen to it, maybe something about that title. What do you mean, the same light?
Okay, so the chorus of the song is actually based on exactly the same idea. That's why I'm so grateful we're sharing it. Thank you, Harry, and thank you, Rabbi Mark, for this opportunity. The light, I say in the song, the chorus is the same light we saw at creation is the same light that we saw in the womb when we were a fetus. That's actually one of the ancient rabbinic teachings about this idea that we see in the Talmud, that everybody saw this light of oneness in the womb. And then that's the same light of hope and redemption of the world that we hope we're working towards. So that's the chorus of the song. And then for the verses, the lyrics are underneath. So hopefully folks can follow along.
Great. So this is a light that we all know. Similarly to the idea that we all learned the whole Torah in utero, right? And
Exactly.
forgot it just before our birth, so that when we learn Torah, we're actually just remembering the Torah that we already had. And here too, we're seeing that we're witnessing or bringing forth the same light that we already had experienced in some way. I love that. Okay, Harry, you're on. Thank you. Thanks for sharing it.
Same light that shone at creation, the same light we need to awaken, the same light we saw as a fetus. Close eyes and revel in the sweetness. The same light that shone at creation, the same light we need to awaken. Same light we saw as a fetus. Close eyes and revel in the sweetness. There's a light that shines from one side of the world to the other, and it's ours to recover. It was shining while we were inside the womb of our mother. Then we emerged to discover it was hidden in this world of division that we're living in. Refined in this light is the mission that we're ministering. The most unlikely conditions can imprison it, inviting us right into the thickest of it. And then we find that it's all inside, that it's up to us if we see it shining. And when we do, there's a simple truth that it's in our hands, that we get to choose every root of a seed, of a spark of perception. Each hint of a thought can create a connection, or sever it. The choice is a treasure beyond measure. So let's not separate our minds forever. Same light that shone at creation, the same light we need to awaken, the same light we saw as a fetus. Close eyes and revel in the sweetness. How long you think these flames been rising? Since way before the sun even started shining. These little Twitter bigots want a Hitler with their digits. I'm not tripping for a minute, I am living the infinite. It's hard to internalize, we're eternal. When others point to it, it first seems a burden. The same flame that led the way for Abraham and David still maintained today if we appreciate it. Lighting up our eyes with the whisper of the sacred, letting it inside through the crack where the break is. What they see as weak is a source of our strength. After every retreat we've been born again. Standing under, over, outside the system solar. See it all inverted, what's unknown and who's the knower? Everything is relative and we are all just vessels in benevolent experiments for love to manifest its full potential. Spiritual and physical and mental phenomena occur, share a unity essential. Every generation gives a message we were meant to. If you see the flame, you won't need to ask who sent you. Same light that shone at creation, the same light we need to awaken, the same light we saw as a fetus. Close eyes and revel in the sweetness. The same light that shone at creation, the same light we need to awaken, the same light we saw as a fetus. Close eyes and revel in the sweetness.
What a gift. Thank you so much, Rabbi Daniel, for that. We're at time, so it is on YouTube. And Harry, if you don't mind sharing the link in the chat, and people should savor that. That was my intention for today. And please share it. Please share it. Spread the word. Spread that light. I'm going to put in the chat as well the Talmudic reference for the 36 Tzaddikim. who, according to Abaye, one of the Talmudic rabbis, greet the divine presence, the Shekhinah. So, want to say Chodesh Tov. One of the gifts here is I love when a Chag or a Chodesh comes in Israel before us in the West get a little foretaste of it and get to share it vicariously with you. So Chodesh Tov to you, Rabbi Daniel, your family, and everyone there, and our family there, and Chodesh Tov tonight to everyone here in the West, and we hope to see you tomorrow to immerse more in the month of Kislev with Sarah Waxman. Chodesh Tov, everybody, and see you tomorrow.
Thanks so much.